Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Line Breakdown. I'm your co-host Jace, and I'm joined here with Alex and Harrison for episode two. And this week we're going to talk about the review of some of the big games from the past week. We're going to preview some big ones for the upcoming week. We're of course going to get into our Blue Line Pick'em, our results from last week, as well as our picks for this upcoming week. And we're going to discuss all the trades that happened the Thursday that we recorded last week, as well as the Friday, and then some big signings and injuries, stuff from around the league after that. So, not much else to be said. We'll get right into it from a review of the first big game that we're going to review this past week. I know there was several big games, a lot of craziness going on this past week in NHL, but these are five that we thought that we should highlight. So if there's one that you're thinking of, we don't touch on it. We apologize. There's only so much time, and we only picked five. But the first one that we're going to get into happened on Friday, March 3rd. This was the Devils paying a visit to Vegas, and they ended up losing 4-3 in a shootout to Vegas. But man, did the Devils play well. Do one of you guys want to touch in on kind of elaborate what happened in that game?
Yeah, for sure. Aiden Hill, he stood on his head that game. 47 saves was huge in that game for Vegas, as well as obviously Dawson Mercer getting his another goal, which extended his goal streak to 8 games, which is crazy. I can't really expect that from him, to be honest, but it was his last uh, game from the goal streak. But that's pretty impressive. 8 goals or in a row is awesome.
Got anything to say with that, Alex? Or
No, I think Harrison pretty much wrapped it up there. It was a good performance by both teams. Knights come out on top. Hale with the performance of a lifetime. So I think that's about it.
yeah, the Golden Knights, they keep staying in that top of the Pacific Division. No one else can seem to catch them. They just keep winning when other teams
Definitely.
win. So yeah, they're Seattle, Edmonton, LA. They're right on their heels, but that was a big win for them for sure. In Hill, what a performance by him.
Mhm.
Um, someone want to talk about the next game that we're going to talk about here. This one was kind of a blowout.
Yeah, I'll take this one. We got the Lightning visiting the Hurricanes in a 6-0 Canes W. It was an absolutely dominant performance by the Canes. Tivu Teravainen got a hat trick, and Kotkaniemi 5 points. The Lightning had 14 shots all game. Boys, what do you think?
Unbelievable. I think they had 4 shots through 2 periods, that's unbelievable. What is happening to Tampa Bay right now? It's I don't know, dude. It's crazy. I don't like what I see from them.
Yeah, Tampa, they've been at the top for so long, and they've hit kind of a slide here. Like they ended, I think they won recently, but they were on a little bit of a skid, and that Canes that Canes loss was ugly for them. But credit to the Hurricanes, they just dominated the whole game. Like you said, Teravainen got a hat trick. He's known as a pass first guy, so for him that's pretty big. And Kotkaniemi with 5 points, like who
Exactly.
would have thought? That's
Yeah,
pretty
what?
amazing from him. Like
Hmm.
yeah, and we're gonna get into Kotkaniemi as well a little bit later, from something else that he did this week. But yeah, the Canes get the win. The Lightning kept sliding at that point, and yeah, Harrison, you want to take us to the next game that we're going to review?
Of course. Yeah, the next game was a Monday night game in Winnipeg, taking on the Jets, and it was a huge win for the Sharks, 3-2 in overtime, and yeah, it almost didn't happen because the Sharks tied it up with 11 seconds left, and it ended up winning it in OT. So that was huge. It helps. It doesn't really help out very many people, but makes the Jets are kind of sliding right now. They're not in their best form right now, so that's a huge win for the Sharks.
Yeah, the Jets have been sliding for a while here. Stealing that extra point in
Mhm.
overtime, that is massive in the wild card race. So I don't know, Jets, man, they're holding on to that second wild card as we speak, but
Yeah,
it is tight.
Calgary and Nashville are coming,
Yeah.
Yep.
slipping.
That game, Nate Schmidt, it was tied at 1-1, and then Nate Schmidt got his sixth of the year with just over 5 minutes left in the third to get the Jets a 2-1 lead. And at that point, it looked like the Jets, they were going to walk away with the win. But then 11 seconds to go, Tomas Hertl scored to tie it from Eric Carlson and Couture. Carlson's just having a crazy good season. And then in
It's crazy.
overtime, a minute 20 in, Couture scored on a breakaway from guess who? Eric Carlson to break the Jets' hearts. And yeah, that was just, even though the Sharks, they're not very good this year, they're in the sweepstakes for Connor Bedard right now. That was just
Hmm.
a heartbreaker for the Jets. That's a game they definitely should have won. So yeah, that
100%.
was tough for them. But the next game that we're going to get into, our fourth game, this one probably my highlight game of the past week. But it was on Tuesday, March 7th. The Blue Jackets paid a visit to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Blue Jackets have the worst record in the league right now. And Penguins are fighting for a wild card spot. The Blue Jackets ended up going up 4-0. And then the Penguins stormed back to tie it 4-4. It went to overtime. And Sidney Crosby, the captain, won it
Of
for the
course.
Penguins and completed the comeback. I mean, what do you guys think of that one? That was pretty insane.
Yeah, I think Columbus went up 4-0. They're like, you know what? Uh, they kind of just forgot they're in the race for Bedard. So you know what? They're just like, let's just give it to Pittsburgh. I
Yeah, I was kind of thinking
don't
that
know.
too.
It's
Like, can they really be that mad? Like, they ended up losing, so only 1 point closer to Bedard.
yeah.
Two big points for
So
the
yeah, the
Penguins too.
standings. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
two massive points for the Penguins, who are really fighting for that wild card spot right now. So it is all it's
It's huge.
tight in both conferences. We'll see how they play out. But shall we get into the next game here?
Indeed.
Yeah, this one also happened on
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, March 7th, we have the Maple Leafs paying a visit to the Rock in Jersey. It was a 4-3 Leafs W, back and forth the entire game, and Austin Matthews gets the winner late. What do you guys think?
I'll go. I just yeah, the Leafs, they went on their Western Canadian road trip, and I believe they lost to Edmonton and they lost to Vancouver. They beat Calgary, so they're definitely looking for a big win here going into New Jersey, and they're doing really good this year. They would not be a easy opponent to beat, and it was back and forth all game. The Leafs took the lead, then Devils tied it. Leafs took the lead again with Marner Shorty, then Devils tied it on the power play only a minute later, and then the Devils took the lead, and then Bunting tied it with under 5 to go, and then Matthews scored to win it with under 3 to go on the power play. It was just back and forth all game, crazy game, super entertaining. But who else but Austin Matthews, one of the best goal scorers in the game right now, to win it?
Mm-hmm. That would be a
Exactly.
fantastic playoff series. That would be a
I
great
was just thinking
series
that.
in the playoffs. Not sure how likely that is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
Depends if the
remember.
Leafs can make it out of the first round here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they ever do.
Yeah, I remember earlier in the season they played like I think it was when the Devils were on their crazy win streak and then they had like 3 goals disallowed and that was like pretty much
Yeah,
playoff hockey right there. So that was just
yeah.
this would be a great series to watch.
All the litter getting thrown onto the ice that game. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Jeez.
classy, classy Devils fans.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
shall we move on to the games coming up here this week?
Sure.
yeah, those were the 5 big games that we reviewed from the past week. There was obviously plenty more, but those are 5 that we wanted to highlight. And who wants to bring us into our first game from the upcoming week that we think is going to be a good one?
Uh Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday, it's a back-to-back home and home for the Red Wings and the Bruins, which is a huge game for, I guess, not necessarily the Bruins because they're miles ahead of everyone. They don't really need to win, but the Red Wings is huge as they're still trying to get into that last wild card spot, which would be huge for them. I'd like to see that, but what do you guys think?
I just want
Um,
to say it is March 9th that we are recording this, and the Bruins could clinch the playoffs already. That is how
That's
dominant
great.
the Bruins have been this season. And those are two massive games for the Red Wings. If they could pull out one, if not both, against the Bruins, that would be massive in the hunt for the wild card spots. So I'm excited for those games for sure.
yeah, the Bruins um clinching already, like March 11th or March 12th, and the Red Wings they've kind of fallen a bit. They're currently they're 7 points back of the wild card too. Not It's definitely achievable, but they need to get at least 2 points out of these two games, which is going to be extremely difficult. They have a lot of teams to pass. They need to jump Buffalo, Washington, Florida, and Ottawa, and then one of the wildcard teams, either Pittsburgh or the Islanders, to get in. So they need to go on a bit of a run here if they want to have any hope. The other three below them, Philly, Montreal, Columbus, they're kind of done for. But Detroit still does have hope, but they definitely need to go on a run if they
Yeah, for sure.
have
It's
hope of
it's
making the
games like
playoffs
these, these
here.
back-to-backs where it's shows if they're a playoff team or not. So
Mhm.
see what they can do.
Yeah, and if you're a Bruins fan, you just got to hope for a win, and then you're in the playoffs already. Which
Yeah, that's
lucky you.
crazy.
Bruins fans
That is
haven't
ridiculous.
really just been cruising this year. They haven't really been worried at all. But Red Wings fans will be on the edge of their seat for these two for sure.
Hmm.
Anyways, the next game that we're going to get into is also that Saturday. Um, it is the Battle of PA. So it's going to be the Flyers paying a visit to the Penguins. And although the Flyers are kind of already out of the playoff spot, Penguins, they're in the hunt for the wild card. And it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. It's always going to be a good game between these two. They definitely hate each other. The rivalry's kind of not as strong as it was in like the early 2010s with Giroux and Crosby, and they both made the playoffs. But it's always a fun time when
Hmm.
these two teams meet each other. What do you guys think?
Those are 2 points that the Penguins need to lock up. Well, all the games are important down the stretch here, but coming out of the battle of Pennsylvania with those 2 points, that is massive for the Penguins. So we'll see. For Flyers fans, you could only hope for a win, right, in the Battle of Pennsylvania. But it's the Penguins fans that'll really be on the edge of their seat here. So what do you think, Harrison?
You pretty much said it all there. I totally agree. But yeah, Philly's not doing the greatest right now, and I think Pittsburgh will probably capitalize. Obviously, they're at home, and the rivalry's obviously died down a lot. But I think Pittsburgh will. It's a huge game for them, but I think they'll get it done for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, if everything's right in the world, Pittsburgh should win to keep their playoff hopes really high, and Philly should lose to get their Bedard hopes even higher. So,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
seeing as it's like that, the world never works that way. So Flyers will obviously win that one.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, Sunday, March 12th here, we got the Hurricanes paying a visit to New Jersey. These are the top two teams in the Metro battling it out. It is taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So, what do you guys think?
I'll let you go, Harrison.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a barn burner. This one. These two teams are incredible. Obviously, Carolina's been up there as a great team for the past couple of years, but New Jersey surprised a lot of people this year being this good. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for. I'm going to tune in for sure.
Hmm.
Battle for the division.
Yeah, this the two top teams in the Metro, and two of the three top teams in the league. Carolina's up on New Jersey by 4 points right now. So New Jersey definitely going to be looking at this one as a big one to try and catch them, win the division. And Carolina, they've been so hot right now. They just want to keep on winning. So yeah, there's not really much else to say. You guys basically said it, but two high-powered teams going at it. It's definitely going to be a fun one, I think. Probably high scoring. I don't see it being a goalies battle at all. It's it's definitely the game of the day, I would say, for that Sunday. If you're going to watch some hockey, I would definitely want to tune into that one for sure.
100%. But yeah, moving on to the next game we got on Monday, March 13th. It is the Stars and the Kraken, which is a huge game in the West as these teams are both fighting for a division lead spot and conference lead spot at this point. But yeah, it'll be a great game to watch. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, the Stars and the Kraken, they've been at the top of their divisions or near the top for basically the entire season. And although they're not in the same division, they're only 3 points apart. So they're probably going to be very evenly matched. The Stars have been kind of a surprise team this year, but not as surprising as the Kraken. Like, I don't think anyone picked them to be this good. Like, I think last year they were a little worse than they should have been, but like they're just on fire this year. Like, yeah, and facing off against the Stars, who have just been consistently good. They haven't really had any super hot stretches or any cold stretches. They've just been winning consistently throughout the whole season. Definitely going to be a good one in the West to watch there.
Potential playoff matchup as well, as pretty much any team in the West is. Any matchup is really possible at this point. So that'll be quite the game on Monday for sure.
Yeah, game of the day for the Monday night hockey. And finally, the last game that we're going to preview here is next Wednesday, March 15th. Sabres paying a visit to the Capitals. And this is a big one because there's only 1 point that currently separate both these teams. They're both battling for that East wild card. Neither of them are currently in that spot. But it's Washington right now that has the point up on Buffalo, but Buffalo currently has 2 games in hand. But again, things could change by the time that game happens, but still, they're going to be close in points. Regardless, what do you guys think?
That'll be a close game. I expect it to be tight checking. More of a goalies battle than the Hurricanes Devil matchup, for sure. Harrison, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game. But as we film this evening, the Sabres lost 10-4 to the Stars, so that was a big blow for them. But I think they'll find their stride again, and I think they'll make that playoff push as they haven't been there in at least 10 years, and they really got nothing to lose at this point. Because if they lose out, there's still no really hope for Bedard as they're pretty far away. So I think they got to push for playoffs at this point.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it pretty well. And also a little disclaimer that 10-4 Stars game, we're just covering games that happen before Thursday night on the review. So that game will likely be in next week's review. But yeah, just wanted to say that there. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the preview. Obviously, tons of big games this week. We're starting to get closer and closer to playoffs. Teams have their rosters basically finalized at this point, and we're going to start seeing more and more divisional and conference matchups as the season progresses. So hockey's only going to get more exciting from here on out, basically. But yeah, the next segment, obviously, we're going to get into the Blue Line Pick'em, and we're going to review our picks from last week and then give our picks for this week. So who wants to start it off? We're recording it after the Thursday games, but we made our picks prior to the games. So we're going to, there will be a little, what we already know our first picks if they're right or wrong, but we'll still say them anyways. But first we're going to review last week. So who wants to started off with the reviewing their picks.
Okay, I'll go first here. So last Friday, my pick, Thursday was Patty Kane against the Sens, and he did not score that game. So Friday, I had Ekholm in Winnipeg, which he did not score. Sorry, that was in Edmonton. He did not score. Then the Saturday, I had Shen uh, in Vancouver against the Canucks, making his return pretty much right after he was traded. He did not score as well. Meyer making his debut for Arizona on Sunday night. He did score. So there you go. Now, Nuge paying a visit to the Sabres. Unfortunately, it was disallowed, but still thought I'd mention that. So no, Nuge did not score. And then I had Kotkaniemi in Montreal. He did not score, but he got the shootout winner. So that is definitely worthy of being mentioned. And with the booze pouring down
Definitely a half a
on
point.
Kotkaniemi, it was that was quite the scene in Montreal. As we all know, the Habs fans can get pretty rowdy. So my last pick for Wednesday, I had Kyle Connor against the Wild, and he did not score. So after the first week of the Blue Line Pick'em, I am 1 for what is that? 6? 1 for 6, I guess.
1 for 7. There were 7 games.
7 games, yeah.
Or like, oh, you mean like 1 and 6?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
One right, 6 wrong. But you got those two were just that was kind of rough with the
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Nuge disallowed and the
Yeah.
Lucky.
Kotkaniemi shootout winner, but he doesn't score in the actual
That's
game.
pretty funny. Yeah.
That's got to be half a point or something.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I guess moving on to my picks. For the Thursday night game, I had Paige Thompson against Tampa Bay. I expected more from him, but he didn't score. Then I had Kent Johnson against Seattle, who also didn't score, which was unfortunate. And but the next game, I had Kevin Fiala against Seattle, and he did score. He put him back to the net, which has helped me out big time. And then moving on, I had Mark Natchez against Tampa, no goal. Shabbat against Chicago, no goal. Letang against Columbus, no goal. And then to finish it off, Larkin against Chicago, W. He scored. So
What a pass from
that was
Chase on too.
clutch.
Okay.
Facts.
Chase on coming back into the league, the little between the legs, behind the back. That was pretty sweet.
It was awesome.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like that Larkin definitely came in clutch. You had one right the whole week, and then the last day, Larkin pots one to get you those
Big
2
time.
correct in the pick'em. But yeah, moving on to my picks. That Thursday night, I thought Carter Verhaeghe would keep his goal scoring going. He has over 30, but sadly the Panthers only got 1 goal, and it was Brandon Montour. So that was a no. Next day, picked Aho to score against Arizona. He did score. He actually scored twice. Yeah, he scored twice that game, but that doesn't count for 2 points. It's just if they're going to score, yes or no. And we did score, so I got a point there. Saturday, I picked Kirill Marchenko of Columbus to score against Ottawa because he has been a goal scoring machine ever since stepping in. But he did not score. Columbus kind of got beat pretty bad in that game, 5-2. Only Line and Roslovic got goals there. Sunday, I picked JT Compher of the Avs, kind of a wild card to score against Seattle. A bit of a risky pick, but I want to see if he could do it. Sadly, he didn't. The Avs only scored twice. McKinnon and Malgin were the goal scorers for Colorado that day. Monday, I picked Yossi because he was my first defenseman to score against Vancouver. And the Preds did score 3 goals, but he was not one of them. It was Sissons and Evangelista got 2, which is kind of cool. 2 goals. I believe that was his first and second NHL goals of his career. So congrats to him.
That was awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
To tie the game up too in the third period, it was pretty sweet. Couldn't get the win, but it's cool to see that.
Yeah,
The
definitely a cool
rookie.
moment for him. Tuesday, I picked another defenseman. I went with Noah Dobson of the Islanders because he has over 10 goals on the year from the back end, which is pretty good. But they did win 3-2, but he didn't score. It was Cizikas, Bailey, and Fashing who scored that day for the Islanders. And the last day, to try and tie Harrison, I picked Kirill Kaprizov to score against Winnipeg. They won 4-2, and he did not score at all. It was Marcus Foligno, Freddie Gaudreau, Ryan Hartman, and Shaw got an empty netter to finish it off. So your winner for week 1 of the Pick'em is Harrison. He got 2 right. Me and Alex only got 1 right. So congrats to Harrison.
Let's go. Let's go.
Now, do
Big
we want to
dubs.
get in? Yep. Congratulations. But I'm definitely going to
Thanks.
beat you this week. I think I got some decent picks. But speaking of picks, do we want to go each of us say all of our picks, or do you want to go like our Thursday picks, Friday picks?
Let's go day by
Let's
day.
just do them all at once. You want
All
to
at
do them by
once.
day?
Do a vote.
Okay, Jace, you're the tiebreaker here. Let's go.
You're the deciding factor.
I think day by day would be um the way to go.
Okay,
Doesn't
let's
really
do it.
matter to me, but that'd be
Sounds
pretty
good.
cool.
Who's kicking us
Okay,
off?
we'll just
So for
go.
Thursday, which is today, which we already know the results, but we'll just say it anyways because we made our picks prior to the games.
So I had Zach Hyman against the Bruins. Unfortunately, he did not score. So little preview for next week, I guess. But Harrison, you want to discuss your pick?
I had Matt Duchene scoring in Arizona, but that was a silly pick as Arizona's been honestly on fire at home as of late.
Unbelievable.
Like,
Unbelievable.
put the Preds down, but what can you do? I should have known. I should have known.
Yeah, that's rough. Arizona, for some reason, they're just super good at Mullet Arena. It's kind of weird. But yeah, for my pick today, it was in the Rangers Montreal game. I had Adam Fox to score. I wanted to pick a defenseman right off the bat. Sadly, he didn't, but Patrick Kane ended up scoring his first as Ranger, which is pretty cool for him. That was a really nice wrist shot in the power play.
Mhm.
Sweet. Okay. So Friday picks, I'll kick it off here. We got Tyler Toffoli against the Ducks. He is an absolute goal scoring machine, one of my favorite players, even though he plays for the Flames. He leads the Flames in goals this season, and he's pretty lights out. So we'll see, I guess.
I like that. I like that pick. I got a feeling he's probably gonna score. I can see it.
Hope so.
He's
I need my
him.
luck to
He's
turn
him
around from last
sometimes.
week.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Ducks, so they're
Yeah.
not too good at keeping goals out of their net. So
I've also got a player from that game just on the Ducks. I took Troy Terry because he's got 3 goals in his last 5 games, and I think he's gonna keep that going. And even though I guess Calgary's not terribly well this year, but we'll see what happens. Troy Terry.
Underrated pick. That is solid.
yeah, Troy Terry, he's definitely pretty good for Anaheim, one of the more consistent players. Would you guys call Troy Terry would you call him an all-star? Like, even though he made the all-star team, but they picked one from each team. Do you think he's like genuinely deserving of an all-star? Or do you think there's other guys in the division who could take that spot?
If you're going, okay, so the way the league does it, they pick one guy from every team at least, right? So this season, I'd say yes, but throughout the entire Pacific Division, no, in my opinion.
I agree. It's tough with the Pacific for sure. There's so many just, especially the Oilers, for example, like
Yeah,
McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nuge, Kane. Like it's crazy. They could all be all
Nuge would
stars
have
if it
been,
wasn't for that
yeah,
format.
Nuge would have
And
been
Nuge
a
for
much
sure.
better all-star pick. No disrespect to Troy Terry, but Nuge, he was definitely deserving this year. What an absolute heater he is on right now.
Crazy. Smashing his career high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Like he's definitely a insanely good player. Like no disrespect to him, but I just think, and this doesn't just go for Anaheim. Like we're kind of picking on them right now, but there's plenty of teams out there where a guy goes to the All Star game just because every team gets an All Star, even though their team might just not be very good. Um,
Mm,
and it's obviously a fun time for the players and stuff, but some guys are putting up like top 10 in points and or top
yeah.
15 or whatever didn't even get to go. It's just because of a rule. Like I know a lot of
Yeah.
people agree with that rule, a lot of people disagree. So um, yeah, it's kind of a little debate there. Sorry, kind of got sidetracked, but I'll get to my pick for Friday. Um, I have in the Florida Chicago game, I have Matthew Tkachuk scoring. Um, I picked Verhaeghe last week with Florida, and I didn't want to pick him again, so I was like, I think Tkachuk is probably a pretty safe bet, so just went with him.
Sweet.
Definitely a safe pick.
Okay, Saturday games here, and I want you guys to listen very close to my pick,
Uh-oh.
okay?
Uh-oh.
In the Montreal Devils matchup, I pick Alex Belzil. Yes, you heard that right. Alex Belzil to score. I think it's pretty obvious why I picked him, but
Yeah,
he's actually on a
he's
little
on
bit of a
fire.
heater too. 3 straight games, including the game tonight, he has scored a goal, and they have all been like genuinely nice goals. So,
Can you share a name with him? That's crazy.
and he plays for my favorite team. That is
What are the odds of that? What are the odds?
unbelievable. Anyways,
You could fool
Harrison,
so many
taken away.
people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. For mine, I've got in the Islanders versus Washington game, I'm taking Bo Scorvat. He hasn't scored in his last 4 games, and he's due. So I think he's getting one. He's leading the Islanders in goal scoring, which really isn't hard to do because they're not really pretty boring team to watch. But yeah, I think I think he's putting one in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's gone cold, so got to break off the schneid. But maybe that just means he's going to stay
Sure.
cold. But he's Bo Horvat. He's not going to stay cold for long.
He's due.
And also, if you guys are confused as to why Alex picked Alex Belzil, I realize we have not given our last names out on here. So, Alex, like, do you want to tell everyone as to why, or do you want to just leave it?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious now. My name is Alex Belzil, for those who do not know. But it's pretty funny that a player on my favorite team is named Alex. Like, what are the odds of that? That is so
Literally.
weird. It's so weird. And I fooled many people with that. It's pretty funny.
Favorite team, exact same name. Like, that's
Unbelievable.
that's weird. Like,
Crazy.
imagine whatever your favorite team and whatever your name is, the like whoever's listening, someone with that exact same name being playing on your favorite NHL team. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, my pick for Saturday,
What are the
I went
odds?
with my second defenseman for against Arizona. I just went with Kale McCarr from Colorado. Didn't want to risk it with my first couple picks, but I got some interesting ones coming up. So I'll hand it back to Alex for his Sunday pick.
Okay, so Sunday night matchup, I have Colton Parayko against the Golden Knights. A trade deadline bait, I guess you could put him as. He obviously did not get traded, but what a unbelievably solid offensive defenseman the Blues have, and I think we could see him getting traded next season. But he's my pick for the Sunday night matchup.
I like that. Oh, the Edmonton boy.
Yeah,
Personally, with Colton Parayko, I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and he's been kind of lackluster for me. So I hope he scores for that on that night, just to get the fantasy points.
yeah,
So I'm rooting for you, even though I want to win the pick 'em. I also want Colton Parayko to score, so hopefully he does.
It could be win-lose scenario, or lose-lose, or win-win. Guess we'll find out. But yeah, moving on to mine. I picking my first defenseman. He's putting up a pretty crazy season this year, putting up a pretty North candidate worthy season. I took Josh Morrissey scoring against Tampa Bay. He's got two multi-goal games in his past five, and it's obviously Tampa's been struggling recently, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory that he has a pretty good shot at putting one in the back of the net.
Yeah,
Good
he
pick.
scored.
That is a good pick.
Yeah, he's scored twice against Edmonton last weekend. And funny enough, I actually also have Josh Morrissey on my fantasy team. And unlike Pareko, he's actually been really good this year. So I hope that he also scores that day.
X.
Against. Anyways, my pick for that day is going to be again against Arizona on back-to-back days. This time in Mullet Arena. So maybe I shouldn't have went with this guy because they've been good at Mullet Arena. But it's going to be with the Minnesota Wild, Joel Eriksson Ek. Kind of a different pick, not one of their premier guys, but Kaprizov's hurt now. We'll get into that later, but yeah, I think he's going to probably take a step with Kaprizov being out and maybe get a goal that night. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Cool. So next pick here, we got Arturi Lehkonen in Montreal. So Arturi obviously played a long time with the Habs. Went to the Cup final with the Habs. Obviously won the Cup last year with the Avs. What a great career it has been for Lehkonen, and he's still got so many good years left in him. So I think that's a pretty solid pick for that matchup.
I like that. He definitely likes scoring in big games. He
Mm-hmm.
scored against Oilers last year to send him to the finals, right?
Yep. And the goal
That hurt.
the year prior
When he
against
was
the
on the
Knights.
Canadians.
Yeah, to
Right.
send
He's
the Habs to the Cup final. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool if he scored against his former team.
for sure. Yeah, with mine for Monday night, I've got Willie Nylander against Buffalo. Toronto likes to eat up on Buffalo. They pack the crowd in Buffalo. I guess this one is in Toronto, but um, obviously Nylander leads the Leafs in goals with 33, but he's goalless in his last five games. So I think he's due to get something up here next game, but we'll see what happens. I'm pretty
Going back,
confident though.
yeah, going back to the All-Star talk as well. That is another massive snub, which just kind of happens at the root of
Yeah,
the rules for the All-Star game. So Nylander was definitely deserving, much more than
100%.
Matthews, in my opinion, but
Yeah,
um
even
it's
though Matthews
unfortunate.
got hurt and didn't end up going, but
Yeah.
that brings another question. Do you think because he got replaced, Matthews got replaced by Barkov? Do you think if a guy gets injured and can't make the All Star game, he should be replaced by a player of the same team?
Under the current rules, absolutely. I think it's
I
kind of
agree.
when I heard that Barkov was the replacement for um Matthews, I thought that was pretty ridiculous, considering that Nylander is not only having a better season than Matthews, he's also having a better season than Barkov. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely
pretty
tied into
ridiculous.
yeah for sure. Definitely tied into that. Florida was hosting the All-Star game too, so that just probably
Yeah,
played a part too, which is unfortunate.
that is where
Yeah,
my mind went.
Nylander
Yeah,
definitely deserved it.
Yeah, I'd say
yeah.
he was the biggest snub of that game. But yeah, my pick for that day, it's gonna be a man who is turning back the clock, it seems, this year. I have him scoring against Seattle, Mr. Jamie Benn of the Dallas Stars. Um, he won the Art Ross 2015, and then he's always been pretty solid, but he hasn't been his former self these past couple of years. But this year, man, Dallas is playing really good, and Jamie Benn has just found his game again, it seems. So hope he can pot one that night against Seattle.
Solid. Okay. Moving on here, we got the all Canadian matchup Tuesday night. I think we're all going to be attending this game, but we have the Senators visiting the Oilers, and I have Jacob Chikrin scoring against the Oilers. So Uh, brought in by Ottawa at the trade deadline here. He scored his first goal in a Sens uniform. It was pretty cool to see his grandpa in the crowd there, crushing some Don or not some Don, some Tims. And him getting pretty emotional seeing that video. That was a pretty sweet moment and something it's good for the game of hockey, I think. But
100%.
anyways, that's my
It was a
pick
nice
for the
goal.
night. Oh, posting in, that was gorgeous, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, man, I've also got my second defenseman after taking Shea Theodore to score in Philly. He's got 2 goals in his last 3 games, so he's on a pretty good streak recently, but he's only got 8 on the season. So I'm pretty confident that I think he's gonna score again tonight, or not tonight, but on Tuesday night. I got a good feeling. You've
Yeah,
obviously
he
got his
scored
jersey
that.
too, Jace. So
Yeah, I have a Shea Theodore jersey. He's probably my favorite player in Vegas, and he scored that big shootout winner against New Jersey, which obviously doesn't count as a goal, but
yeah,
he can score goals. Like he's extremely solid defenseman.
it is.
And yeah, for my pick that Tuesday night, I'm gonna go to the Philly Vegas game. So the same game as Harrison, except I'm gonna go on the other side. I'm gonna pick a Philly player. Um, I don't know. I'm just feeling that Kevin Hayes is gonna score that night. So he's been playing like Philly's been having a pretty rough year. Connecting, he's hurt, but Hayes hasn't really been playing too bad. I know being an Oilers fan, he scored against Edmonton. I believe the first game they played. So yeah, if he could score that night against Vegas, then and get me a point, that'd be pretty good. So hopefully Kevin can do that for me that night. But yeah, our
He's
last
definitely
game.
having a
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's definitely having a great season. Kevin Hayes for sure. He's playing really good compared to past seasons for sure. I like how he's playing. It's a good pick. I really like it.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. Last picks here. So next Wednesday, I have Anders Lee scoring in Anaheim. Probably an unconventional captain, but he has been the captain of the Islanders for so long here. So um I think it's a kind of a random pick, but we'll see what can happen. You never know, right?
You never know with that Islanders team. You never know
Yeah,
who's
I
gonna
noticed.
score.
Yeah, I noticed you have 2 picks against the Ducks. So picking picking teams that aren't very good defensively. It's a smart strategy. Just more chances for
For
goals
sure.
there. So
Yeah, I'm definitely going the opposite route with my pick on Wednesday. I've got Valerie Nichushkin against Toronto in Toronto. He's only got 12 goals on the season, but I think he's due. He's due. He's a great player, but he's run under the radar for quite some time, so I think he's due.
yeah, Nichushkin, he's a solid player for the Avs, solid middle six guy. He's when he got to Colorado, he just found his game, and he helped them on their cup run last year a lot, and solid 2-way player. Hopefully, you can get one that night for you, but not for us because we both want to win this pick 'em. But yeah, that was a solid
Sure.
pick. And for my pick, final pick of the pick 'em, I'm also gonna go to the same game as you again, Harrison. But again, I'm going the other side. I'm gonna pick a Toronto Maple Leaf. I'm gonna go Mitch Marner. I know he's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer, but he always can consistently put up 20 goals, and he's scored already over 20 this year. So hopefully he can get one that night against Colorado for me.
Can't go wrong with that guy. Solid pick.
Yeah, Mitch
See
Magic.
that for sure.
Cool. Okay. Shall we transition to the news of the past week here, boys?
Yep. So to finish off this week's episode, we're gonna do the same thing as last week. Get into the trades, big news, signings, whatever. There wasn't really as many big ones this week because it was only the trades from Thursday, Friday, and then the deadline happened. But there was still some pretty big names moving around. So who wants to get into the first one that we have on the list here?
I'll kick it off here. So this one pretty interesting in my opinion. We have Jonathan Quick acquired from the Columbus Blue Jackets. That sounds so weird. In exchange for Michael Hutchinson and a 2025 seventh round pick. So Quick joins the Vegas Golden Knights to kind of solidify their goaltending this year. Well, hopefully at least, and provide some meaningful playoff experience after what seems like a ridiculous trade from LA to Columbus. It's good to see Quick head back out west here. What do you guys think?
I think he's got to be the greatest Columbus Blue Jacket of all time, in my opinion. Jonathan Quick, greatest player to ever play, or goalie
Did
to
you
ever don
did,
the jersey, or
did you
never
see the
ever don the
guy
jersey.
with the Quick jersey already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
that's
was
funny. That's
pretty
kind of a
great.
legendary jersey, honestly.
That is.
it is. Definitely conversation starter with that one. That's
Yeah.
But
Jonathan Quick,
yeah,
by the way.
in terms of the actual trade, like Quick, he just did not want to play in Columbus, and I think he just wanted to win another cup, and Columbus is nowhere near that right now. So they flipped him
Yeah.
to Vegas for what they could, and yeah, hopefully, well, not really for me because I'm an Oilers fan and I don't want Vegas to win the cup. But if they do end up winning it, I'm sure it'll be awesome for Quick to win one at the tail end of his career here. One more.
Absolutely. That'd be pretty cool to see, even though I guess we're not all big fans of
Hmm.
Vegas, that's for sure.
That'd be a pretty cool first round matchup too. Like we mentioned earlier, anybody in the West could pretty much play each other at this point. So
Yeah, every
could
point
you
counts.
imagine a Quick versus LA first round matchup? That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, shall we move on? Who wants to take it away?
Take this one. Next trade, we got Boston acquiring forward Tyler Bertuzzi from the Detroit Red Wings for a fourth round pick in 2025 and a first round pick in 2024. Is it protected? I could be wrong. It's got the
I
asterisk
don't.
next to it. I'm not 100% sure.
It's conditional. I think it's. I'm actually not sure. It probably wouldn't be top 10 protected because.
Yeah, I guess they're not going
Oh,
to be.
is it even Boston's first? I don't think so.
Well, that's actually a good point.
Because they would have traded that to Washington when they acquired
Right,
Hathaway and
Orlov.
Orlov. So I'm not
But
sure
it's a
whose first rounder
2024,
that
so
is.
it's next year.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so that would make sense. Yeah, it probably is Boston's first then.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, what do you guys
Um,
think?
sorry, go ahead.
What do you guys think
you
about
go,
that trade?
Harrison. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I thought this one was kind of weird from the Red Wings. Um, considering Bertuzzi has been there for such a long time and he's been such an impact player in Detroit. But Boston, they just keep adding. I mean, this team is going
Hmm.
to be very hard to beat four times in a 7 game series in the playoffs. So I don't know. I don't know. Boston looks incredibly scary at this point.
Tough to beat. Very, very tough to beat. Crazy
Yeah.
depth.
On the other side, though, I saw it was kind of, especially Dylan Larkin. I saw a video of him. He took the trade
Hmm.
pretty hard. He was almost, I think he was in tears because hockey's obviously a business. Guys get moved around, but the relationships the players build within each other or with each other on the teams is something that lasts, and it's hard to see a friend go and play for another team. And yeah,
Hmm.
Larkin was. I'm sure not just him. A lot of the Red Wings were tough to see that, but yeah, he's definitely going to help Boston um, on the run that they're going to go on here for the playoffs, and I guess we'll see how he does the rest of the season and then the playoffs.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking on the relationships built on a team, I think he's gonna have to get used to that with Marchand because I think they've got a pretty interesting past from times they've played before. From videos I've seen, they've gone to a couple scuffles before, but we'll have to work
Yeah.
on that, I guess.
Yeah, guys seem to always be enemies until they're on the same team, and it's like everyone's on the same
Exactly,
page.
100%.
Cool.
But moving on, this one happened the night that we recorded our last one, but we didn't want to touch on it because the details weren't finalized. It was um, Max Domi got traded from Chicago along with Dylan Wells uh, to Dallas for a second round pick and Anton Hudobin. So goalies get flipped. Neither of them are starters. A veteran goalie and an AHL goalie, and then Max Domi and the second. So yeah, what do you guys think of that one?
It's a pretty good trade for Dallas. I mean, Domi's on an expiring contract, so he's obviously a rental, but I don't know. That was Max Domi was an underrated piece at the trade deadline. I thought he could have been a good pickup for any team, and I'm kind of surprised he went to Dallas, but that is from a Dallas perspective, definitely a solid depth piece coming into the playoffs here.
Totally agree. Yeah, as you're a Habs fan, you had him on your team for quite a while. I think you probably know the most about him, but I think that's
Yeah,
probably got the best insight on that guy. So agree.
yeah, pretty big Max Domi guy if you want to call me that. Got his book, you know. No, anyways, that's a pretty good trade for Dallas, I think. Don't give up too much in return, so
Yeah, just
100%.
another team that's gearing up for a run, just adding guys. They added more forward depth. Like obviously they have Robertson, Ben Sagan, um, Rupe Hintz on their team already, and just adding Domi to that makes them even more deadly. So yeah, it's a decent trade for Dallas, I'd say. And he was only on a 1 year deal. Correct me if I'm wrong. So at least Chicago gets something
yeah,
back for him before he
yeah, exactly.
probably would have left in free agency. So I would say it's a win-win
Mhm.
for both teams.
Cool. Moving on here. Next trade, we got the Oilers acquiring forward Nick Bukestad and defenseman Cam Dineen from the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for defenseman Michael Kesselring, an AHLer, and a 2023 third round pick. Arizona is also retaining 50% of Bukestad's salary. Not that he has that high of a cap hit, but we all know how tight of a cap Edmonton had to work around Ken Holland. What do you guys think?
I like it. He's obviously made a huge impact even just in his first game. I think he scored a goal against the Jets, his tip and goal, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously making a really good depth piece for the Oilers. Head into a playoff run that hopefully brings home Lord Stanley back to the city of champions, which would be great to see.
Yeah, I mean Edmonton, they got another right shot centerman, and he's been really good in the faceoff dot so far. He scored in his first game. He scored against Winnipeg, and he's a big body. So yeah, he definitely helps Edmonton's depth playing on that fourth line. Probably move him up to the third line as well if they need to. Um, but yeah, it just makes it so that the big guns don't have to be on the ice as much as they already are in Edmonton. And
Mm-hmm.
he might like depth guys like that. You need those types of players if you're going to go deep in the playoffs. So kind of think Ken Holland recognized that, and he made a move to just acquire one more before the trade deadline ended.
Yeah. And that bolsters the penalty kill as well. In the game against Buffalo, Bukestad won all 10 of his faceoffs. So definitely a guy that the Oilers needed on the defensive side of the game, especially in the forward department. I wish him well. I do.
Yeah,
Anyways, what do you guys think? Or let's move on here. I guess.
All right, I'll take this one. Yeah, the next one we got John Klingberg on the move heading to Minnesota for Andre Suster, Nikita Nesterenko, and a 2025 fourth round draft pick. What do you guys think about that one?
Um, I'll go. I think. Well, also, I believe Klingberg was also just on a 1 year deal with Anaheim. Was he? Was he not?
I think you're right.
Yeah, yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's a solid defenseman with a big name. He's probably not as good as he used to be when he was with Dallas, but Anaheim, they flipped a guy that with value or with expiring contract just for something. They got two players and a pick back. Not really anything super notable, but hey, at least they got something. And Minnesota adds a veteran defenseman who can play big minutes for them. So again, it's just a business deal, trade deadline deal, rental, whatever you want to call it. Thoughts, Harrison? Or sorry, Alex Harrison introduced the trade.
I think that pretty much sums it up, honestly. Um, Not much to it, just kind of another depth piece for the Wild, uh, going into the playoffs here. So yeah, you pretty much summed it up pretty nice.
Cool. Harrison, got anything to add, or can we move on?
I think I'm good. You pretty much summed it all up. But yeah, if you got
Cool.
moving on to the
I'll bring
next
us.
one.
Yeah, I'll bring us to the next one. This one, another defenseman move. This was between Vancouver and Detroit. Vancouver acquired Philip Roenick and 2023 fourth, and Detroit received a 2023 conditional first, which was the Islanders' first from the Bo Horvat trade, and a 2023 second. It doesn't say the graphic that I'm looking at what the condition is, but it's um, likely with conditions, it's something to do with how a player performs or like how deep they go in playoffs, something like that,
Yeah,
or like a first top 10 protected or something like that. So yeah, basically Ronick and a fourth for a first and a second. What do you guys think of that one?
I don't really understand it from a Canucks perspective. Um, I think they're very much due for a rebuild, and they're only delaying the inevitable by adding Hronik. I don't know. He's a solid depth piece, but not one that I think the Canucks need. What do you think, Harrison?
I agree. This trade, I don't know about it. It's just it didn't really take me by really any. I wouldn't say surprise, but I didn't really expect it from Vancouver as they're not a good team. They're not fighting for a playoff spot, and they're not really at the bottom for Bedard. So they're really in an awkward spot right now. So I don't know if they really
Hmm.
needed this, but we'll see what they do with it for sure.
Yeah, I just think it would make more sense if Vancouver was near a playoff spot or going to make the playoffs and acquired a defenseman to go to make a run, but they're nowhere near the playoffs. So
Hmm.
yeah, a
Exactly.
little bit of a head scratcher, but I guess only time will tell how it pans out.
Cool. Let's get into the next trade here. We have Granlund to Pittsburgh. The full trade details are Granlund to Pittsburgh for a 2023 second round pick. Like we've kind of said, it's just kind of a deadline deal. Not a bad return for Granlund, who has a pretty high cap hit, if I remember correctly. So the second rounder for that is pretty good. Harrison, I bet you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I definitely can't complain. Obviously, as it happened, it hurts seeing Danny go as he was. I liked him on the Preds, but it's for the return that we get for him, and he just, I don't know, he wasn't the greatest this season, so I honestly can't complain about that. In my eyes, I like it as a Preds fan. And I've seen quite a few Pens fans complaining too, especially with
Yeah.
their GM. So
It was just a kind of an average trade, a pretty good player for second round pick. Pretty even on both sides, I'd say. And Pittsburgh gets another forward. to help them make the playoffs, stay in that wild card hunt, and maybe even go on a run. Alex, do you want to do the next one?
Sure. Okay, we got an interesting trade here. We have the Blues acquiring Jacob Vrana from the Red Wings for a seventh round pick, 2025, and Dylan McLaughlin. Is that right?
McLaughlin, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of an interesting trade, especially the way that Yzerman addressed it at his deadline conference. He it sounded like there was some tension between Vrana and the Red Wings. So
Whoa.
definitely an interesting trade.
Sorry if
Yeah,
there
for
was
sure.
any audio issues, but yeah, we continue, Harrison.
Uh, I don't know if I'm mistaken or not, but he hasn't played very many games this season, right? Because on the substance abuse program, if I'm not mistaken. Am I thinking of the right guy?
Yeah, he was on the NHL assistance program, and then when he came back, he was sent in the minors, and I barely think he even played on the Red Wings this year at all.
No, I don't think
I'd,
so.
I'd I'd love to see him do good. Come back from those types of things is always good to see. So I hope he does well.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was really good on the Capitals, and he got traded to the Red Wings, and he still was doing pretty good. And then whatever happened or whatever happened to him, I just hope he's okay and
For
Hmm.
sure.
everything's good with him. And yeah, I was just wishing the best to St. Louis. Hopefully, he can get back to playing in the majors consistently once again.
Yeah.
Cool.
We move on to I think it's our last trade that we're covering today. If
Yep,
I'm
I'll
not
just do this
mistaken.
one pretty quick. It's kind of a smaller trade, but again, it involves Anaheim. They traded Dmitry Kulikov, defenseman, to Pittsburgh for Brock McGinn and a 2024 third. So, you guys want to talk about that one just pretty quick? It's not a huge one, just forward for a defenseman, roster player, roster player. What do you guys think?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not much to it.
yeah, that's about it, honestly. Kulikov, a solid defender. Um, should help Pittsburgh in the playoff hunt. So that's about it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
pretty even both ways.
McGinn, I'm assuming the reason he was sent was for cap related reasons or because he's an NHL player. They would like him for a run, but I'm assuming it was just cap related reasons.
Yeah.
But that's all the trades that we're getting into. But I just want to touch also real quick that Chuck Fletcher's came under fire at the trade deadline last week for not trading James Van Riemsdyk because I believe his contract's up and they could have traded him for just something before he walks in free agency. But yeah, Flyers fans are not happy with Chuck Fletcher, and fans of the NHL are kind of scratching their heads at that one.
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah,
guys have
I
any
totally thought
opinion
he
on
was getting
that, or do you
shipped out
think it's
somewhere.
just kind of?
Yeah, I definitely
I'm
thought he
sorry.
was getting shipped out somewhere. I don't even know where, but I could not see him in a Flyers jersey after the trade deadline. So I was honestly so confused that he was not traded, and I don't blame their fans for being pissed off at their GM.
I agree. I think it's even more unbelievable that Chuck Fletcher comes out and he says he uses an app to evaluate trade values. That is,
Big buck,
oh, that is unbelievable. I'd be in tears if I was a
That
Philly fan.
was
That is brutal.
moneypuck.com.
Literally.
yes. Statistics can say a lot, but I don't think they say everything. Like advanced
Yeah.
statistics, and
Yeah,
they don't say everything about a player and his value. But
probably
Alex, do you want to get
prices
into
is
the two big extensions that were signed this week?
Yeah, let's do it. First one, I'll just fire them both off here quick. We got Larkin re-signing with the Red Wings at 8.7 million for 8 years. So that's a pretty solid contract both ways. I think they went back and forth on that for quite a while. And I think both teams or both sides are pretty happy with the contract in general. Locking up your captain's always important. So um pretty solid. And then we have Pasternak re-signing at 11.25 million for the next 8 years, beginning next year, along with the Larkin contract. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, those are both per year deals, not total. Obviously, they're worth way more. But yeah, I think both both players are just entering their primes. If not, they're already in them. And the players or the teams get, I guess, their captain in Larkin for the next 8 years and their top point scorer in Pasternak for the next 8 years. So, and players get a bunch of money. So I think both sides are going to be happy with those extensions. Honestly, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they're too long. They're going to end when they're at the right ages. And yeah, you got anything to add, Harrison?
Pretty much said it all. I totally agree. This, I think they're just perfect for what each team's got to offer. Pasta's just under 12 mil for obviously the cap is rumored to be going up in a couple of years, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's perfect for it's gonna I think it's gonna be perfect.
Yeah. Um, I'll touch on two injuries real quick, and then Harrison will mention one thing at the end that we want to get out of the way. Uh, quick little shout out. But yeah, first I'll mention Ryan O'Reilly. He got hurt this week with a broken finger. He blocked a shot, and he'll be on LTIR. He'll miss the remainder of the season. He'll likely be back for playoffs. But yeah, that's a big blow for the Maple Leafs. Just trading for him, and they'll obviously still make the playoffs. But yeah, I think they were kind of hoping for him to build some chemistry on the ice out there, but
Mm-hmm.
won't be able to happen until playoffs. The other one just happened, or was just announced today, I believe. Kirill Kaprizov is out 3 to 4 weeks with a lower body injury. He kind of got fell on awkwardly by Logan Stanley at their game against the Jets, and yeah, that's also a reason that he didn't score for me is because he got hurt in that game in the pick'em. But that's aside from the point. But yeah, those two guys are going to be out. Two big names. So, got anything to add, or they're just injuries, not really
Yeah, pretty much said it all there.
crazy. But
Yeah. I feel like the Kaprizov injury is going to hurt the Wild a lot more than the
Yeah,
O'Reilly injury is going to hurt the Leafs, you'd think. But
yeah, their
um,
best player.
Kaprizov being out is a massive loss for the Wild. So hopefully they could still make
was
the
he?
playoffs with them out three
Yeah,
3 to 4 weeks here. So we'll
was
see.
he out against Calgary a couple days ago? Was he already injured?
No, I think it just happened in the game against the Jets.
Okay, because I was gonna say
Yeah.
they like a 1-0 game in that game, which is that would be pretty evident if he was missing already.
Yeah, in the shootout, that was crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, if there's one more thing we like to do, I'll pass it off to Harrison to do this one.
yeah. For finishing off here, we got just gotta give a little shout out to one of our good buds from Beaumont, as we're from Beaumont, Alberta. He's at the University of Wisconsin right now. He's got drafted a couple years ago to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he finally signed his entry-level contract. And he is, yeah, we're just all really proud of him. It's crazy to see as Beaumont's such a small town and growing up with him, being good buds with him. It's it's awesome, and we're all really proud of him. Excited to see his future.
Hmm.
Force cool moments. So hyped.
Yeah,
Really cool.
congrats on the ALC for Corson, guy that went to school with us here in Beaumont. So really cool to see that.
Hmm. Sweet.
But yeah, other than that, I think that's going to do it for episode 2 of this week's Blue Line Breakdown. And next week, obviously, there won't be any trades to cover because the trade deadline's passed. So we're going to get into a couple new segments. I think we're going to start maybe with a top 10 segments, do something like our top 10 favorite players, favorite teams, best players, best all time players, stuff like that. We haven't really decided which one we're going to do yet, but I think we'll do something along those lines next week. So you got something to look forward to, a little different. It'll be um, pretty exciting. I think there'll be a good debate to be had there. So make sure you tune in so you don't miss that. But yeah, you guys got anything to add before we end it off?
Just want to
I
give
just
a
got
oh, you give her, Harrison.
I was gonna give a shout out to our socials like Instagram. We post on our stories quite a bit and do some polls. So and Twitter. And if you have any questions for us there, any suggestions for the next podcast in the future, then just hit us up there, answer our polls, give us a follow. It just helps us out quite a bit. So all the
That was
support's appreciated.
that was exactly what I was gonna say. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great minds think
And
alike.
the links are for Instagram, it's just Blue Line Breakdown. For Twitter, it's Blue Line BD. And for YouTube, it's Blue Line Breakdown. We've just uploaded our normal podcast on there. But yeah, Instagram, we're probably the most active on. So we post polls, and if you want to DM us any suggestions, make sure to hit us up on there. And yeah, from the three of us here at Blue Line Breakdown, have a good week, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
See ya.